You are now listening to Wave a Sound.
Welcome to Versus Mike History, the number one platform for empowering black creatives. I'm your host, Michael History. In episode 93, we discuss Drake's new deal with Universal, a black woman-led production studio coming to Georgia, the youngest black law school graduate in America, Kendrick Lamar's new album, and more. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you choose to listen. And for exclusive access to Versus Mike History content, join one of our members-only subscription tiers on Patreon. Peace, family. We are back for another episode of Versus Mike History, and it's been a while since I've been behind the mic. This episode is coming a week late. I know I said I was going to drop this last week, but I've been so caught up in getting everything prepared for quarter two's interview releases that I just didn't have time to sit down and really go over the things that I wanted to cover. And plus, like, Kendrick Lamar's album was coming out the following week, so I just figured that I'd take the time out and give myself the weekend to hear the album before I came back and dropped. More so because I also wanted to announce that I'm going to be taking a break from the podcast for a couple of weeks, just while I am releasing these interviews for quarter two. Once the quarter two interview release run is done, I'll get back to potting as usual, but I got a lot of things in store for the summer and for the rest of the year, so I just want to make sure that all that stuff is in order and that I can provide the best content possible for you guys, because a lot of exciting things are happening with the platform. I'm growing, getting better, and I just want everything to be in order. And I want to improve as best as possible. And, I don't want the content here to get stale by any means. And it's been a while since I took a break. So I'm just looking to give myself some time off and, recalibrate as the warm weather arrives and, all these things are coming into fruition. And that's pretty much it. I hope that everybody is staying safe. COVID is spiking in a lot of areas. And we just gotta learn from the pandemic and continue to adopt these things that, keep us sanitary and clean and all of those good things. Shout out to everybody listening around the world, around the country, everybody in the South, everybody on the West Coast, everybody in the Midwest, everybody outside of America. Yeah, it's a lot going on, man. Prayers up to the victims that lost their lives in Buffalo from that white supremacist mass shooter. We got to call it what it is so that we can finally make a change. Everything going on in America with these abortion rights being reverted back to what they were 50 plus years ago is very concerning. Everybody should just, be educated and, know where to put your vote if you're into that kind of stuff. So, it's really a rigged system that we're operating in, but, the reality is that you have to keep yourself knowledgeable about what's going on around you so you can protect yourself. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into this week's episode. All right, and as always, we got to lead with love, and I'm really liking this idea that I've come up with to read off tweets that have the word love in them. So I got another few of them for you guys, and I'm going to just go ahead and get into it. So I got here from _Princess Key. Someone being patient with you is one of the softest forms of love. I have here from Ahim Aura. We don't talk enough about how scary it is to love when you've never seen examples of healthy love growing up. I got here from Billy Vina. You deserve to be loved the way you love. And that's all we have. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. All right, let's go ahead and get started with a black female-led studio rises in Georgia, and I'm getting this from the Hollywood Reporter. Tammy Williams, set to become the first black woman to own a major production studio in Georgia, started with a vision. She wanted to build a facility where stories that are too often ignored could be told. Beyond that, she longed for a place where people in undeserved communities could get a job training in an industry that she's built her life around. Williams saw her goal start to come to life in March when Cinema South Studios, a $135 million project, broke ground. Located on 85 acres, not far from Trilith and Tyler Perry Studios, the complex will spread over 1 million square feet, consisting of 17 buildings with numerous sound stages. It will house various set pieces along with a wardrobe rental facility, transportation company, and 3-story office building that will host post-production and audio production facilities. This is absolutely amazing news. We need more black production studios. My goal is to own a production studio in the future. I believe that when we have the power to tell our own stories, that's when we will be able to control the narrative of our culture, of our people, and be able to rise up to a new level here in this country. I also believe that it will create more genuine and more entertaining stories as well. And, nothing but positivity can come out of this. So I'm happy for everybody involved in this project. Shout out to Tammy Williams. And let's go ahead and move on. All right, I have here that Drake strikes massive multifaceted deal with Universal Music Group, and I'm getting this from Variety, so bear with me. You wouldn't know it from Sir Lucian Grange's tone in Universal Music Group's Q1 earnings call, but the chairman of the world's biggest music company confirmed what had long been expected but never been announced, that Drake had entered into an expansive multifaceted deal with a company that encompasses recordings, publishing, merchandise, and visual media projects. Such expanded portfolios, as Grange noted in the call, spanning multiple creative lanes and revenue streams, also include the recently announced extension and expansion of The Weeknd's deal with UMG, which aligns him, like Drake, with Republic Records. Of course, the nagging question is, how big is Drake's bag? Yeah, I won't get into all of that speculation, but it is very interesting that Drake has gotten into a new partnership with Universal Music Group, because only a number that was extremely, extremely high could keep someone of that level participating within a machine in which they really have no use for at this point. Everything that Drake can do for himself, everything that Universal can do for Drake, he can do for himself at this point. So whatever number they gave him, I don't really need to know it, because I know it's a ridiculous amount, to be perfectly honest. But this is very interesting, it goes to show that record companies still do have a, use in this day and age, which is to, give you as much money as you possibly can once you reach a certain level of success. And, I think that it's very interesting to see that there is a balance between all of this ownership talk that our community has been putting into the world, which, I am a heavy proponent of, but that there's also a balance of people who still use the machine, and the machine should be used at the end of the day. I'm not anti-machine per se, but I am of the belief that the machine can hold value when it is being used for your benefit. And that's all I have to say on that. Congratulations to the boy. All right, so I got a little bit of crypto news for you guys. Snoop Dogg and Drake among celebrities who invested in crypto firm MoonPay's $87 million funding round. And I'm getting this from Afrotech, so bear with me. In MoonPay's recent funding round, celebrities from the world of music, sports, and entertainment backed the crypto firm with hefty investments. According to Independent, 60 stars, including rappers Snoop Dogg and Drake, participated in a whopping $87 million raise for the Miami-based firm. Fellow investors also include Justin Bieber, Jason Derulo, Questlove, Gwyneth Paltrow, and more. The announcement followed MoonPay's $555 million round, bringing its valuation to $3.4 million. The outlet discloses that many celebrities involved already had familiarity with cryptocurrency. It went on to quote about how Hollywood is getting more interested in the blockchain and cryptocurrency because of smart contract adaptation and, the growing technology and everything like that, which is very interesting, but neither here nor there. It's very interesting to hear that, people from our community at a high level are getting into cryptocurrency at a serious level and not just in the way of NFTs, because we've seen a lot of NFT news lately, but, investing in these crypto firms that are trying to build a better future for our money is very cool. And not just our money, but, all of our technology and our entertainment that comes with the money that we're spending. So cool stuff. All right, some great news here. Texas teen to make history as youngest black law school graduate in America. And I'm getting this from Cron.com, so bear with me. At just 19 years old, Haley Taylor Schultz is set to become the youngest law school graduate at Southern Methodist University and the youngest black woman to graduate from a law school in the nation. 3 years ago, Schultz, who hails from Keller, Texas, was accepted into 9 law schools, according to an SMU news release. However, she chose to attend the university's Dedman School of Law in Dallas and ultimately announced the decision on Good Morning America at the time. She told the host that it was her school of choice because it was close to home and offered her a nice scholarship. While at Dedman, Schultz flourished as an author, public speaker, and advocate for the issues of students of color face in navigating gifted and talented programs in public schools, according to the university. So clearly, this young woman is extremely intelligent, extremely gifted with her voice and her mind. I just wanted to highlight her and share the news with you guys. This beautiful, turn of events. So shout out to Miss Haley Taylor Schultz, her family, and everybody who helped her reach this landmark achievement in her life. Okay, more good news. Founder of Slutty Vegan Restaurant gifts LLCs to entire Clark Atlanta's class of 2022. And I'm getting this from Black Enterprise, so bear with me. The Slutty Vegan CEO spoke to the class of 2022 during their commencement ceremony on Saturday and gifted the entirety of the class to a limited liability company, or LLC, reports Fox 5. I have partnered with Vero Bank to provide every single graduate in this audience with the new LLC and a path to entrepreneurship, Cole said before the uproar of applause. Every single graduate in this audience will leave this stadium as a business owner, she proclaimed. Per a press release from the university, Cole graduated in 2009 with a major in mass communication / media studies. She was crowned Miss Clark Atlanta during her undergrad in 2008 and initiated into Delta Sigma Theta sorority Sigma chapter. Yo, I'm gonna keep it real. That's some fire news, and I wish that I would have been able to experience or even witness something as cool as that. The fact that this woman is giving these newly college graduates an opportunity and a pathway to entrepreneurship is absolutely amazing. It's gonna change someone's life. It's gonna put them on a path to breaking generational curses for their family, and is gonna, improve the economy in ways that, we just don't even think about in this country because, we're so we're so self-serving that we don't even think about how much serving the community could, serve ourselves and help ourselves. But nonetheless, this is beautiful news, and I'm glad to see, beautiful black people coming up in this world and, being treated with care and respect. So this is always great. All right. So Naomi Osaka breaks ties with IMG to launch her own sports agency, Evolve. And I'm getting this from Black Enterprise, so bear with me. 4-time Grand Slam singles tennis champion Naomi Osaka is making significant moves in terms of her career. She recently announced that she is ending her professional relationship of 6 years with IMG, a global sports talent management company, and branching out to establish her own sports agency, Evolve, with her sports agent Stuart Dugid, according to Sportico. I've spent my career doing things my way, even when people told me that it wasn't what was expected or traditional. Evolve is the natural next step in my journey as both an athlete and a businesswoman, Osaka said to the outlet. Both Osaka and Dugid share an equity stake in the company without any help of investors, according to Cassius. You guys know how I feel about ownership and independence, and I'm very happy to hear that Naomi Osaka, who is the highest paid female athlete currently, is taking her business into her own hands and starting her own sports agency. Too many times in the entertainment industry, which black people pretty much dominate for more or less, we're always told that we have to have an intermediary, to have conversations with these larger brands. We need to have agents or managers from these foreign places, from these foreign communities, to help us bridge the gap. And, I'm glad that we're moving into an era where we can create those bridges and pathways for ourselves. And it's really great to see that people are starting to take that move and take those steps towards that future in real time. So I'm really happy that Naomi Osaka is doing this, especially since she's in a position of great success and great achievement, and she's a person of color and she's a woman. So it's just so many good things that make this a positive. And yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into some new music. So usually I take this time to talk about all the new releases that have dropped in hip hop and R&B. But, it's kind of a special time in that Kendrick Lamar has released his latest studio album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. This happens to be a double album and his last on TDE. So I kind of just wanted to take the time, this segment, to, just go over my thoughts on the journey up to this album and what I think of this album in general. And yeah. So to be perfectly honest, first of all, I really like this album. I really do. And the discourse but I guess the themes that I've processed up to this point, because it's only been a few days since it's been out, so haven't even fully taken in everything that this album has to offer. But it's very interesting to see the growth from Kendrick Lamar coming into the game and trying to be the best person, or I guess reach the highest height in terms of accolades and achievement, to this point where he's sort of rejecting the savior title that was put upon him. I also think that the time in which Kendrick Lamar came into hip hop was a very weird time, and it was around like the birth of mumble rap, or at least the ascension of it. And he came in with very dope, clean lyrics, and I think that that's where the whole savior complex began. And we've sort of moved into a post mumble rap era where it's it's still prevalent, but not necessarily at the forefront of, what's popular now. And to reassess Kendrick's status within this whole pantheon of rap artists is interesting to see how he sort of stepped down to really drive home the concept of him being human and all of the experiences that he's experienced, not just between albums, but that have made him a human. Moments that we haven't necessarily been privy to in the past, or maybe that we knew of, and he's putting in song form. I think that this album is definitely not for everyone, but it is a great direction of growth for the artist of Kendrick Lamar. I think that one of the things that he does really well is introspection and going against his former self to become a better version of himself, which is something that I strive to in my personal life. And I think that we live in a society where anything that doesn't necessarily fit the status quo of one side or the other isn't going to be, critically acclaimed or massively adopted. And, I feel like Kendrick Lamar is not looking to take a side, but looking to reject the idea of taking a side altogether. And I really think this is cool. It's grown man raps is real intelligent and very entertaining. And sonically, it sounds amazing. The production is great, is mixed great. The presence of Kodak Black, I enjoy. I think that he adds an element to this album that I can't explain why I enjoy so much, but it's there. And I think that that's pretty much all I'll say for it for now, because it's still brand new. But I really enjoy how this album makes me feel, what it makes me think about, and it's very embracing. It's very embracing and makes you think about yourself while also thinking about how he got to the points that he's gotten to in his career, in his music, and his personal thoughts about everything that's going on in the world. So with that being said, I'm all done. Okay, let's talk television, movies, and trailers. So I didn't get to talk about Doctor Strange because I was supposed to drop this last week, so I'll talk about it now. I thought that the movie was really good, but I did think that it sort of subjected expectations of what it was really going to deliver. I think that the Scarlet Witch as a villain, spoilers if you didn't know already based off the trailers, I think that the Scarlet Witch as a villain is very effective in this film. Sam Raimi, who is the director, who has previously directed Spider-Man films in the past, does an incredible job of bringing life in style to the generic Marvel format of shooting a film. And I think that even though what I expected out of this film wasn't necessarily delivered, it still was a great story at the end of the day, and people's reaction to it will be a little bit warmer in the long run. But I think that what fans of the MCU have to do moving forward is sort of lowering our expectations of what the studio is willing to you know, provide and serve us in terms of fan service moving forward, because we've just been fed so well with, the Infinity Saga and, everything uh, leading up to what's going on currently in Phase 4, with these Doctor Strange cameos and the cameos in No Way Home and things like that. But at the end of the day, Marvel Studios is still of the goal to tell individual stories that are compelling. And I think that we are starting to get away from, and I mean, as fans, we're starting to get away from expecting individual stories to expecting, this, long, engaging, overarching story. We think that it's our job to criticize what that will be, or when it'll come. And it's just not our job to do that. Our job is just to enjoy what they put out when it comes out, or, criticize it if it's not up to our standard of liking. But all in all, it was cool. I don't know if I talked about the end of Moon Knight either, but I liked how it ended. I guess. I mean, I like how it ended, but I think that the ending was rushed. I think that the lack of Jake Lockley was a mistake, especially since it was being teased throughout the entire season or series, whatever. And we don't know when we'll see this character again. I liked the character of Layla, and I liked her, introduction as the Scarlet Scepter, I think, or Scarlet Scarab, excuse me. And, this was a great season of television with Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, playing both Mark Spector and Stephen Grant. And, the 5th episode with, going into his background about how he got to the point of split personalities and everything like that was very amazing. I just didn't think that the season wrapped up in a very compelling way, because we don't even know when we'll see this character again. But with that being said, I do think that the potential for this character to be seen again is very high, and when we see them again, it'll be in a more entertaining and probably engaging setting. So at least we have this behind us now, and yeah. I've actually spent a lot of my weekend watching Young Justice Phantoms. I forgot how good this show was. I mean, I watched all seasons of Young Justice, and I started when it pretty much came out. But I forgot for a long time how good the show was, man. And I just was binging it today, and it was just really good. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I've been watching the playoffs a lot. It's been very interesting to see who's making it forward towards the championships. I just watched the Suns get blown out earlier tonight, and the Celtics beating the Bucks. It was kind of crazy as well. So, that's pretty much what's been going on. I know that's not TV, and technically that's TV, but I don't do a lot of sports talk, but I kind of just wanted to mention that. Been watching a lot of fighting and boxing lately. Got to watch the Shakur Stevenson fight. Glad to see that he's unified the lightweight division, or the lightweight belts. Shout out to Anthony Johns on his knockout. And yeah, man, just been getting into fighting a little bit more, and that's pretty much it. And I guess I'll wrap the episode here, man. Like, that's all I got for you guys today, and it was been pretty cool sharing all of this news. I'm really excited for what's coming forward in the future for Versus Mike History, because I have a lot of dope stuff planned for you guys, and I really want to work hard to build this platform to be as successful as possible, because I know I foresee it, so I want to make it into a reality. And with that being said, I'm gonna close out the episode with some topics, questions, music, and movie suggestions to info@versusmikehistory.com. Follow the podcast on Twitter @VSMikeHistory, and follow the podcast on Instagram and Fanbase @VersusMikeHistory. Get members only content for Versus Mike History at patreon.com/VersusMikeHistory, and everything else can be found at versusmikehistory.com. This week's sound selection comes straight from Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and my choice is Savior, which is from Kendrick Lamar, Baby Keem, and Sam Dew. And I will see you beautiful black people at the next episode.